guys, my name is Tiffany and welcome back to Upcycled by Tito. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how I will be turning this dress into this dress. I found this dress at a thrift store while I was on tour. I can't really remember where, but I'll try to figure that out and then I'll write it in the description below. But yeah, I found this dress. It was $7 and I really liked the material, so I bought it. Also, super exciting, it's Daisy's birthday, so I thought I would make her a matching dress as well. Okay, so let's get right to it. You're gonna need a sewing machine, a serger, an iron and ironing board, a thrifted dress, fabric shears, sewing pins, needle and thread, a seam ripper, a measuring tape, a fabric marker, and some Velcro. Let's take a look at the dress before we begin. So as you can see here, it's pretty large and shapeless. I do really like the button front detail, so we're gonna keep that. I think this upcycle is going to be relatively easy because there aren't any specific pattern pieces that we need to figure out. My plan is to create a new waistband for this dress, so we will be making a cut in the middle to separate the top and the bottom. For the top, we will be making a more fitted bodice with short sleeves, and for the bottom, we will be making a more fitted A-line skirt. With whatever fabric left over, we'll cut out the pattern to make Daisy's dress. Let's get right to it. So, see where this original shoulder seam is? It sits a little bit too low for me, so I'm gonna wanna make a new one. So I'm gonna just find where I want the new seam to be, and with this safety pin, I'm just gonna mark where I want it to be. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find where I want to create that new waistline on this dress, and I think I'm gonna wanna make it right where this button is. So I technically don't have to mark it, but I'm just going to do it anyways, just so I don't forget. Okay, now that we've established where we want the waistline to be, I'm gonna go ahead and measure this part of my waist just so I know how much fabric I can cut off on the sides. Okay, so my waist measurement is 27 inches. The next thing you're gonna need to measure is from the top of your shoulder to right underneath your underarm, so we know how big to make the armhole. My measurements are 10 inches. So to make this dress more fitted, I'm also gonna make darts right here for the boobs. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the safety pin and essentially find where the highest point of your boob is, so your nipple, and just make a mark right there. And the last thing you're gonna measure is from where you just put that safety pin to the waistline, which is 6 inches. So you know that the length of this dart needs to be 6 inches long. Okay, let's take this off and start cutting. The measurement from the hem of the dress to the new waistline is 28 inches. Now mark all the way across the dress. Now cut along the line you just created. Now that I've cut off the skirt from the top, we can go ahead and start working on the top. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to seam rip these nasty, can you see this? Nasty disintegrated shoulder pads. I don't even know how old this thing is, but this is disgusting. I'm gonna get rid of that, and then I'm also going to seam rip the sleeves off. As you can see here, I've replaced the safety pins that we used as a guide marker with some flat sewing pins. This is so I can lay my top completely flat. I've also used a pin to indicate where the center of the top is. To draft the dart, I'm measuring 4 inches from the center and making a mark. Measure 3/4 of an inch and make a mark on both sides of the first marking. Then, draw a line from your guide pin to the first marking, making sure it measures 6 inches. Draw 2 lines from the pin guide to the 3/4 inch mark points to create a triangle. Repeat for the other side. To draft the new armhole, I am using the pin marker as well as the existing armhole as a guide. Then, measure to 10 inches and make a mark. Now, measure 9 inches from the center of the top and make a mark. Draw a line to create your new side seam. Repeat for the other side. Once again, I'm using a pin to mark the center of the top. Measure and mark 3.5 inches from the center. Now, draft your dart. I made the height of the start 4 inches and repeated on the other side. I drafted the armhole the same way as I did the front, using the pin and the original armhole as a guide. Then, I measured 8.5 inches from the center and made a mark. I flipped my top over and used a pin to mark the bottom of the underarm in the front so it would line up in the back. Now, draw a line to create your new side seams. Repeat for the other side. Now, it's time to cut, making sure you leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I wanted to show you guys how I'm gonna sew the darts. So as you can see, we made those triangles before. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to fold it in half along that center line. I'm gonna fold it in half like that. I'm gonna pin it, and then I'm gonna start sewing from this wide end down to the narrow end. And when I reach the end, I'm not gonna backstitch because I'm going to pull the threads out and I'm gonna double knot it to secure the threads. So like I mentioned earlier, we didn't backstitch the top of the dart. We are going to take these two ends and we're just going to tie 2 knots. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and sew the rest of the darts, and then we're gonna put the top together. Okay, so this is what the top looks like right now. I think it's still a little bit too big around the waist because I want it to be pretty fitted, and also right here underneath the armpit. So I'm just gonna go and with my sewing machine take in a little bit from this side and then a little bit from this side to make it a little bit more fitted. With my top flipped inside out, I went ahead and drew the new side seams. Moving on to the sleeves. So now I want to figure out the length of sleeve that I want. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the sleeve and I'm gonna set it where that shoulder seam is going to be. And then I think I just want like a little short cap sleeve. So I think I want the sleeve to go to about here. So I'm just gonna take a pin and mark this spot so I know that's the length that I want. With the pin as a guide, I drew a line for my new sleeve length. Now I'm going to match this curved part of the sleeve to the length of the armhole and make a mark. Then I'm going to draw a line to complete the sleeve. Cut along those lines, making sure to leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Here I have the sleeve pinned on to the armhole, and initially I wanted it to just like fit perfectly, but of course it doesn't, and I don't really want to seam rip anything right now, so I thought of a quick fix. I'm actually just going to ruffle the top of the sleeve. So there's like excess fabric here. I'm just gonna ruffle it, and then it's just gonna create a little puff sleeve. I just sewed the sleeves on, and this is what it looks like. So it fits me pretty well in the waist and tiny little puff sleeves. So now that the top is done, we can go ahead and move on to the skirt. As you guys know, I am super particular about the seams lining up, so I will be using the top as a guide. Starting with the back of the skirt, I'm just marking where I want the side seam to be, and then marking where I want my first dart to start. Then, draft your dart. Like I did with the top, I'm using a pin to mark the center of the back piece of the skirt. Fold it in half and pin together to keep the fabric from shifting when you cut. Now cut to create the piece for the back of the skirt. Now that you have a symmetrical piece, go ahead and draft your second dart. For the front of the skirt, we will also be using the top as a guide. Line your pieces together and mark where the new seam needs to be. Using my tape measure as a guide, I draw a line from the top to the hem of the dress to create my new side seam. Cut and repeat for the other front piece. So here I have the darts for the back of the skirt pinned, and the reason that I'm putting darts in the back of the skirt, or in the back of the dress really, is because I have what you may call a pancake butt. So I'm just adding darts so that it like accentuates and like just, you know, hugs my tush a little bit more. I just finished putting the skirt together, and this is what it looks like. It fits me pretty well. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach this to the top. Good morning. So I finished putting the dress together last night, but I'm just not happy with the way the skirt is falling. Like, it's doing this weird thing and the drape's not I don't know. And to be honest, I was like super cranky and tired last night. So I was like, let me just deal with it tomorrow, which is today. So I put this on again this morning, and I think I'm gonna have to seam rip the sides, even though I really don't want to, but I think I'm gonna have to, because the bottom part is just too wide and it's just not falling the way I want. So I'm gonna seam rip this open and then make new side seams, and hopefully that fixes the problem, and we'll see if that works. As you can see here, I have seam ripped the sides open. I'm gonna draft some narrower side seams, and hopefully that works. Guys, as much as I hate seam ripping, I'm so glad that I did it, because I'm so much happier with the way this fits now. And this is what it looks like. I also wanted to show you guys that from the material that I saved from the side, taking the sides in a little bit, I added these cuffs on the sleeve just to give it a little bit more of a finished look. And then I made a new buttonhole for where the new waistband is. And also, look at these sexy seams. They're all lining up. I'm so happy about it. Now that my dress is done, let's move on to Daisy's.
Okay, so luckily, because I'm a weirdo who likes to match with my dog.
Two things about her dress. One good, one bad. The good news is that I already have a pattern to cut out for her dress. The bad news is that all I have left is half of 2 sleeves and this one strip of fabric. So I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna make it work. I seam ripped the seams open, and there's actually more fabric than I thought there was going to be, so I'm gonna be able to get all 3 of her bodice pieces from one sleeve, and then I'll use the other 2 pieces to create the skirt. Here is the little top part all sewn up. I've hemmed the top as well as the armholes, and I'm gonna show you guys the skirt part. So I sewed this piece and this piece to that big rectangular piece to create this like long skirt, and I also went ahead and cut this curved hem. As you can see here, I've already put in my basting stitch on the top, so we're just gonna ruffle the skirt and then we can attach it to the top. Okay, so now I have it to the length that I want. I'm gonna go ahead and pin it to the top and sew it together. Oh my god, so cute! How cute is this tiny dress? I wanted to show you guys that I serged and hemmed all of the raw edges, and now we just have to put the Velcro on, and this is an iron-on Velcro, so I'm gonna do that and then we'll be done. So that was my tutorial on how I upcycled this dress. If you guys like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for watching.